So you guys are going to do a review on 91 Days now.
We are.
Which is an anime that you both fangasm over often.
So we're so excited to do this because Kimiko and I ended up basically watching 91 Days together. It was my pass, if I'm remembering correctly. It was my pass, and I was like, Kimiko, you need to watch this. You're going to freaking love it. And you did.
I did. And I did.
Yeah, exactly. And so we ended up pretty much watching it together. Like, you caught up to where we were at, and we pretty much watched every episode as it came out every week.
Yeah, we watched a couple of them together, like in the same place physically. Yeah. And then we also, like, if I watched it before you did, I would be like, all right, you have to watch it, and then as soon as you're done, we have to have a conversation about it, and we kind of would keep up with each other. But then I think we both ended up watching the final episode so many days apart that we never talked about it.
We never properly talked about it. And by the time we realized it, we were like, well, we haven't done the review for the podcast.
So we should just wait.
We should just wait. So we have been waiting to talk about the ending of this anime since it finished back on October 1st of last year.
It has been months, guys. 3 months.
And we probably forgot everything.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
So a couple interesting things to talk about for 91 Days before we dive into the plot and before we dive into the characters and whatnot. 91 Days is an anime that you don't get very often.
No.
And we're going to talk about why and lots of reasons. But one of the places that I want to start with it, and I remember one day we were sitting at Panera talking about 91 Days.
Yes.
And I was looking this up, and I realized that the staff of 91 Days is freaking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the people behind this anime who have lended their talents to this anime have really, really impressive resumes. So to give you an idea, the director of 91 Days is Hiro Kaburagi, and Hiro was also the director on some other animes that people might know, like Hozuki no Reitetsu or Kimi ni Todoke, first and second season. He was also the director for Tonari no Kaibutsu-kun, and he even did storyboarding and episode directing on many episodes in other really well-known stuff like Fantastic Children and Hunter x Hunter. So the director has an incredible resume. Moving on from him, we have the person who is responsible for series composition, who is Taku Kishimoto, and he's done series composition for Gin no Saji. He did the script for Haikyuu. He did the script for Joker Game, and he did series composition for Usagi Drop. And then it really doesn't even stop there. The art director, Hiromasa Ogura, was art director on a huge amount of things that are well known for their art styles, like Fooly Cooly, Ghost in the Shell 2.0, Jinro, The Wolf Brigade, Kudo Shitsuji. He did art direction on all of those. And then possibly one of the other really interesting things is the background art was Hiroshi Sasaki, and he did art direction and background art on Genkutsuo and just a number of other things. So like,
basically, long story short, all of these phenomenal people working in these incredible mainstream, well-known, very popular pieces or very popular anime all came together to do this, which is a style of anime that doesn't actually appeal to, I feel like, a lot of the Japanese
I would agree.
So it almost, and I think I remember us literally saying, it felt like this was a pet project for all of the big namers and the big wigs that have always wanted to do an anime that was darker and grittier, an anime like The Godfather in anime form.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like.
And and that was one thing, again, when we were having that conversation of that whole conversation when we looked up the staff was, why did 91 Days get funding and approval? Because it's not the anime mold. You're not going to sell figures off of this. You're not going to sell panty shots and maid costumes and all of that. You're not going to have the, I'm an average high school student who got sucked into a RPG dungeon. Like,
it's not something people go into expecting to make any money off of.
Yeah. But because of that, because it felt somewhere between an art project and a passion project and a pet project, it was incredible.
So brilliantly done.
So let's talk about what the story is actually about to give kind of the listeners clarity as to why we're saying so much you don't see this in anime.
Yeah.
And I think you summed it up quite aptly when you said it's basically The Godfather.
It is.
In anime form. And I'm gonna run down the synopsis, working off of the My Anime List synopsis to give kind of a cohesive synopsis, and then we can drill down into to different things. So the anime takes place in a fictional city of Lawless, is the name of the city, and it's positioned somewhere near Chicago, I think.
Yeah, it definitely has that by the pier in the middle of a kind of downtown city area.
Yeah. So it takes place in Lawless during the Prohibition era. And so as of most mafia stories during Prohibition, the entire city is run by a couple of families who are locked in decades and generation-old power struggles. And right now, the crux of those power struggles is illegally brewed liquor. And we meet our main character, who is, his actual name is Avilo, but he goes by Angelo. Or wait, is it the other way around?
Other way around.
Other way around.
Actual original name is Angelo, but he's been going by this name Avilio for a decent amount of time, long enough that everybody just knows in the area that he's living, or almost I'm thinking squatting in at this point.
Yeah.
Everyone knows him as Avilio. His past is gone.
Now, that past is important, and you do find this out in the first 3-4 episodes.
First episode.
Yeah, it's
like
early.
Literally the first episode, 5 minutes in.
Okay, so this sounds like a spoiler, but it's not, because this is the crux of the story. You find out basically that Angelo, or Avilio, I'm probably going to call him Avilio, because that's what he goes by for the most part in the series. But if I slip up and call him Angelo, just establishing now it's
same
person. But Avilio, when he was a child, his family was brutally murdered in front of him by the mob, and he got away. And he ended up getting away and relying on the help of his friend Corteo. And for the longest time, he kind of avoided Lawless or stayed on the fringes of it because he hated the mob and the mafia and everything that Lawless was. Then one day he gets a letter from an unknown sender that tells him the name specifically, because he was a child when his family was murdered. Like, he doesn't know what happened, why it happened, or anything like that. And he gets a letter that says, here's the names of the people who killed your father, your family.
And I think it even goes beyond that and gives him little like hints and gives him some details on how he might be able to infiltrate them.
Yes.
Like, it gives him directions on how to start his path to revenge.
And the family who is behind it is the Venetti family, which, as I said, is one of the 3 kind of ruling families of Lawless.
Yeah.
So Avilio returns to Lawless, letter in hand, with the mission of infiltrating the Venetti family and executing his revenge for the death of his family. Now, as he is doing so, his friend Corteo gets brought into the mix, because his friend Corteo, what is he really, really good at?
Making some damn good booze.
So,
and poor guy just wants to go to college. Like, he's literally making liquor specifically so that he can sell it illegally, make enough money to go to college and leave Lawless. But because of Avilio's untimely or like poorly timed arrival, he gets drawn into this mafia life.
Yes. And Corteo, for really the whole time, is like, so we're doing this ultimately to get out of Lawless, right? Right? Right?
Poor baby.
No. The answer is no.
Yeah.
Avilio ultimately befriends the eldest son and next dawn of the family Venetti, next kind of overseer of the family Venetti, Nero, and in the process works his way into the family, and he crosses the first name off his list. I want to say it is episode 3 or 4.
Episode 3.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that
it all blends. The pacing on this is so well done.
It's
that
impeccable.
The whole thing blends together, and you can tell they had a beginning, a middle, and an end in mind. So it almost watches like a 5-hour long movie if you binge it.
I would 100% agree with that, because there were even characters that when they were initially introduced, so everything is very serious. It's very gritty. It's Godfather the animation, and it's really intense. And then you meet this one character named Fongo.
Yeah, Fongo.
Fongo. And Fongo is this over the top kind of nutter character. And
he is so extra.
And it's one of those things that when I first met him, I was like, oh, okay, here's the anime. Here's the anime coming into this, because his character is unhinged and over the top and insane and intense, and okay, now we're getting that trope of anime. But as time goes on, like, his character even starts to make sense in the plot of the story, because you have all of the characters act very reasonably to their character and their world. You don't have a character that's just going off and doing something eccentric and random and stupid. Like, the characters' actions have consequences and they have weight.
They've got purpose.
And Fongo's character seems so out of place at first, because he's the Joker. He's the man who wants to see the world burn.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, you kind of realize that is the purpose of his character. It's not meant to be a trope. It's meant to show this is what it looks like when someone really puts no weight in their actions.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Fongo is one of those characters that he's meant to appear as the unconquerable. So as the story goes on, like, getting to see a little bit more nuance to his character, a little bit more consequence for the character's actions, starts to show that even the unconquerable might not be unconquerable.
Yeah.
And it almost sheds light onto the other characters and the consequences that they might face. It's almost foreshadowing in his character's extra-ness.
Yeah.
So should we talk about spoilery things?
I think we should get, for those of you who are going to duck out for spoilery things, just one more thing that I want to say. This is a very smart show. This is a very clever and well done show, really all the way to the end. There's one hiccup in it, which we'll talk about in the spoiler section, but overall, this is something you should watch.
100%. I would recommend it to anybody who's open to a dramatic, darker anime.
Yeah. Okay. Spoilers. You can't handle the truth.
Do you want to hear a spoiler? This anime only sold 1,000 DVD copies.
I'm not surprised.
Which
1,000.
I feel like I should buy one.
For a total of 13 million yen, which puts it at the same amount of money that Nobunaga Gun made.
Ugh.
And less money than animes such as Megane Boo. Let's see, TQ season 2.
But I have to go back to the fact of, I cannot imagine the people who made this anime
expecting to make money
off it. I just can't imagine that. Like, I feel like the people who were behind this anime went into it saying, all right, I'm going to lose some money, but I have these other popular projects to sustain me.
No one goes into a project saying we're going to lose money.
I actually think this is one of those.
I
really do.
So. I think that's like where you have a business meeting with the board of directors and they say, okay, what are the projects' profitability? What's the profitability?
Unless you have a bunch of auteurs who have worked on name things like Haikyuu and other Hozuki no Reitetsu. And they've made their money, and they're like, we want to produce it.
I think because they had a person like that, they probably thought it would make money, but then it didn't. It's more likely that they thought it would make money and it didn't than they thought that it wouldn't make money and then they were right.
Well, no, I think we're not saying that they made it we're not saying they made it and they were like, well, let's make this because it's not going to make money, or let's hope this makes money. It sounds like a pet project, a passion project. Like, we can make money with our other things like Haikyuu, but this is going to be our artistic.
You could be right, but...
So can we get a spoiler drop?
Oh, you want a spoiler drop?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
All right. So can I just really episode 10?
Okay. Yeah. So we're fast forwarding because Avilio gets into the Venetti family. He befriends Nero.
He works his way up the chain. He's doing what he planned to.
He pretty much has crossed almost every name off his list.
He's got like 2 names left.
One of them is Nero, and one of them is Don Venetti, Nero's dad.
Exactly. And there's one thing that we do need to make a point of, and I think I can bring it back to what I was saying before with Fongo and how they portrayed him as super extra, super tropey, because he was supposed to have this air of unconquerability about him.
Yeah.
And the way that they make his character, in my opinion, have the most impact is by taking the character that nobody puts any stake in, Corteo, and having
who's this mousy little bitch.
All he wants is to go to college, and he hates Avilio. He hates the situation he's in. He's just this little pathetic ball of sad. And you take that character and have that character completely destroy, completely blatantly murder in blood and gore the unconquerable character,
and not just like to underscore your point, Kimiko. Like when Corteo kills Fongo, we're talking like
brutal.
He kills him and then keeps bludgeoning, like that type of like rage murder.
I think he kills him with a radio.
Was that
like,
it?
Like he literally, because he jabs him over the head with a bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to stab him with the broken glass. And then when he falls over into the curtains in this like bloody ball of fabric, he grabs the radio off the desk and starts jamming it over his head. Like, it's awful.
It's an intense scene, and it's a scene that when I watched it, I was like, here's the turning point for Corteo's character, because until that point, Corteo had faith in Avilio. He had faith in goodness. He held out faith. He held out hope that things would work out and they could go off. And I was like, here's the turning point, because Avilio was shitty to Corteo.
Oh, completely.
Like, Avilio was shit-tacular to Corteo and threw Corteo under the bus, putting him in this situation with Fongo.
He forced Corteo into a corner that there was literally no way out of outside of kill or be killed. And he chose to kill Fongo from it.
And which is, I was like, okay, here's the turning point where now, like, not only is the rest of the anime going to be about Avilio, will he finish his list, but it's also going to be Corteo standing up against Avilio.
Which is why it was so, pardon my French, fucking disappointing to see them take the potential that comes with Corteo killing Fongo and waste it.
Basically, the next episode after that was Corteo and Avilio go on a trip and talk about how nice it would be if they could just live peacefully.
It was the domesticity interlude.
Yes.
And it was painful to watch because, number one, Avilio and Corteo have probably completely at this point fallen out of any sort of friendly reverie that they've had.
Yeah.
Like, there is so much animosity between them now. Corteo feels betrayed. Avilio only wants to focus on his revenge. There's no reason that they should take this moment away to prove to the viewer that, no, they still love each other. They still care about each other, so that
There's
later
still
on
a
in that
bond
episode, they can pull at our heartstrings by making a very specific point happen. And it's like, I almost don't want to say what that is.
I felt like they took a really good opportunity for the story and threw it away in Corteo. And I feel like it was one of those, Corteo became a loose end for the scriptwriter. Where the scriptwriter was like, shit, I know the ending I'm working toward, and I don't have a way to wrap up Corteo.
It's How I Met Your Mother. It's literally the end of How I Met Your Mother. They recorded the entire thing 10 years ago and now have to find a way, regardless of how the character development has happened to this point, to get to the end that they had already preconceived 10 years ago. Like, it's not beneficial to the character's growth.
They still worked to that ending.
They just got there.
They just would have had to do. They just could have done it in a different way, handling Corteo's situation.
And I think we even talked about that. The entire scene, and there is a scene that happens prior to figuring out the loose end with Corteo. There's a scene where we get an interaction between Corteo and Avilio for the last time, and they could have even just handled that slightly differently and made me feel better about the decisions they had made in end of episode 9 and all of episode 10. They could have done that. But that being said, it's almost like if you removed that section, that episode 10 completely, maybe tweak something to explain why Corteo is no longer in episodes 11 and 12.
Maybe he kills Fongo and says, F you, I'm done.
And runs
and
away.
goes to college.
Exactly. Like, even if you did that, vague, like, oh, he's at college now. He's gone. He ran away. We'll miss him, whatever. Everything else that happens is so perfectly intertwined with the original storyline.
It really, and that's why I feel like Corteo's arc is a dropped arc. It really is. It really is we need a thing to get Avilio into the mafia. We'll use Corteo. And then, oh shit, we invented this character. Well, I guess we'll string him along. Oh shit, I don't have a plan for him at the end. I guess we'll do this. And it was out of place and it was odd. All that being said, it didn't ruin the anime for me.
No, that literally is the one thing.
Yeah. I want to talk about the ending. Did you like the ending?
I feel like there's no other way I could have seen the ending happening that didn't have that same impact.
That is exactly how I feel about it. I think it was a great ending.
It was so
because
well
I can't
done.
think of any other way for it to end, and I think that's the mark of a good ending.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to say that I was like super happy about it or super sad about it, because your emotions reach this pivotal point by that moment at the very end, that even if you wish that something else would have happened, or even if you wish that like something could have been different, that's all a part of how you're supposed to feel at the end of it. Like, you're supposed to go into it going like, man, all of that. And then you get to those last 5 seconds and you're like, there's nowhere else we could have gone.
It's almost like it's a study in the pointlessness of revenge.
Yes.
Like, and that's, I think we're at the point where of scoring it.
Yes.
So I'll kind of wrap up my final thoughts. I think this anime was magnificent. Everything we said about Corteo, that episode 10 where they destroyed at the end of his arc aside, everything about this anime is everything I want in anime. It had good animation and good music, exceptional pacing. They didn't take more time than was necessary. I was fine with the recap episodes so they could have a week to, prep. The animation didn't fall throughout. The pacing didn't fall throughout the show. The themes explored had gravitas to them. There was a clear beginning, middle, and end that a lot of anime don't have. It was conclusive. It was cohesive. And so, this really is unlike me, especially when an anime has such a glaring fault as Corteo's arc. But I'm going to have to give it, five illegal bottles of liquor out of 5, because it's worth watching and it's so good. And even with the dropped arc really isn't even that bad.
Yeah.
It's just everything else is so good. It's so good.
You're so funny. You're like, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because it's worth watching.
It is, though.
But that's not a very,
No, but I said all the other
compliment.
things. The pacing's impeccable. The animation is great. The music is good. The story is intriguing. The characters are on point. Well, there's only one flaw in this show.
And even that is ignorable for how they decide to finish off the episodes that follow it.
Yeah.
And so, for me, here's the thing, is like, when Chiaki says 5 out of 5 because it's worth watching, it's almost like saying, no, even if you aren't sure, even if it's not your style, even if it's something that you normally wouldn't go out of your way to watch, it's worth it. It's worth it for you to take the time and sit down and binge it or watch it a couple of episodes every week. It is worth that.
Yeah.
Because like, this is the sort of anime that I would use to convince non-anime fans that there is other sort of anime out there.
Than just the bubblegum pop porn.
Exactly. Like, this is the sort of anime I would say, you liked The Godfather, you like that style, that genre of movie, of American Western TV, watch this. Because this will change this will change your entire opinion on I think anime in general if you don't already have that preconceived notion, you know? And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and reiterate all of the things that you said, Chiaki, because I agree with you on 99.999% of it. So I guess it goes without saying, and I'm actually surprised I'm surprised that you gave it a 5 out of 5. I knew I was going to give it a 5 Lawless Heavens out of 5. But I figured it would be another Orange.
No,
I loved it so much that I could not give it a 5.
I'm going to give it a 2.
You
haven't even seen it. All right, 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 it is. And she's right. It's worth it. It's awesome.